Hello, everyone. It is 11:49, and I'm calling this meeting of the Wakefield Youth Council into order. So the first item on our agenda is attendance. So I'm going to call down the roll. James,
Here.
Nathaniel,
Here.
Annabeth, Thomas,
Here.
William, Michaela said she would be absent. Ahmed,
Here.
Madeline said she'd be absent. Maya, Sophia,
Here.
Juliana,
Here.
Olivia,
Here.
Vanessa,
Here.
and Aaron.
Here.
Next is public comment. Do we have any members of the public wishing to speak today? All right. Seeing none. Next is the approval of our October 18th, 2023 meeting minutes. So I'm going to pass it over to our clerk, Thomas.
Thank you. So it was a very successful meeting on October 4th. We did have two high schoolers from the Wakefield Environmental Club who were there to give a presentation on partnership with Tree Planet, which is an organization that sort of assesses the environmental impact of communities and then plants trees to based on that. So we learned about that. We saw the presentations of the Youth Risk Behavior Survey, which overall trends were going down, trends of substance use and bullying, but they were in some cases higher than average for the Middlesex League. So there are a few things going forward to consider. We learned about the intergenerational community tree project for Wakefield, which we will be pursuing in the future, assuming we are given the grant we're currently in the process of applying for. We got some updates from the finance working group. We then heard from Ali Atui regarding his meeting with the town council and town administrator and learned a bit about the roles there. We are going to be starting the Snow Angels project soon, which we discussed briefly. We found that the Veterans Day cleanup is canceled, but we will be exploring other ways to honor veterans. And then we adjourned.
Thank you, Thomas. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I second.
So I'm going to call down the roll. James,
Yay.
Nathaniel,
Yes.
Annabeth,
Yes.
Myself, yes. Thomas,
Yes.
William,
Yes.
Ahmed,
Yeah.
Sophia,
Yes.
Juliana,
Yes.
Olivia,
Yes.
and Vanessa.
Yes.
All right, so that passed unanimously. All right, so now we have two members of the youth action team today that will be presenting to us on some stuff that they've been working on, how we can help them with our connections with the town too. So I'm going to pass it over to them. Thank you for coming today.
Hi, I'm Sienna. I'm Abby. And we've been on youth action team for a couple years now. And we work on, youth action team works on a ton of projects around our town, working to help our community. And we're here to present a couple of them today. So two of the projects that are always going on are our high school club and Galvin Club. So we have members, two members who work on our high school club are Luke and Wisely. And these are every Thursday, I'm pretty sure every other Thursday. And they work on mini projects with high school students, kind of still with our goals of working on reducing negative weeds and promoting positive flowers. And so the high school students are collaborating on new projects. This is rather early in the year, so I'm not sure exactly if we have a project right now we're working on, but we'll probably be starting that soon. And then the Galvin Club does kind of the same thing, except they're more working on like events in the school. I feel like Family Feud, you've probably seen them before. Right now they're working on student-teacher pickleball, the news flash as always, which the high school works on as well, but it's called the Bathroom Buzz. And you put it in the bathroom and it has information from our YRBS surveys and also just information about like the month. And then also the Galvin is working on a trusted adult project right now. And then one other project that I personally got to work on called Wakefield Amigos. This is a new club in the middle school and it works with the high school too. It's a mentorship program that we got about $2,000 for over the summer to help start it. And the program works with high school students and middle school students. And the high school students are serving as mentors for the middle school students. These are students who are English language learners. And there's going to be a variety of field trips. Our advisor, Ms. Pacheco, she's awesome and she's already planning stuff. So that is probably one of our newer projects that is starting to move and we're all very excited about that. Another one of our newer projects is called Unite, and this was created by one of our other leaders, Grace, and our another one, Luke. And this was a new violence prevention program where we get student volunteers who apply to be these volunteers for this program, and they go into the 10th grade health classes, and they are presenting on this new prevention and trying to get more awareness for violence prevention. And then on top of that, we are trying to start a new mental health and nutrient programs. And so one of our youth action team leaders, Alexis Manzi, she went to a Winchester nutrition program that they had held, I believe, last week, just to get a few ideas on what they did. I believe they had some like interactive stations just to like inform people more on like nutrition and other ideas surrounding that. Um, and then our final project that we wanted to present was Wakefield Warrior, another anti-vaping project. And this is where now we're just trying to bring more myths about it, and we're aiming it more at the parents rather than students. And that's it.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was very there's a lot of great projects that you guys are working on that I definitely see a lot of common ground with the youth council. Especially when you were talking about mental health, which is something that we've covered a lot in the past, especially considering our school culture projects that we are now working on, as well as the anti-vaping aspects that you were talking about. Since we received a presentation last meeting regarding the youth risk behavior survey, and that was one of the more concerning results, talking about e-cigarette usage among the youth of our town. So I want to open it up to questions from everyone. Does anyone have any questions that they or comments that they'd like to ask the members of the youth action team? Well, if no one has any questions, I'd like to ask one. So what do you see as like some common ground areas that we could potentially collaborate on some of those different projects that you're discussing, or rather, in any ways that we can support you, or vice versa?
I think in general, like the youth council and Wakefield Youth Action, you always have a good relationship about supporting each other. And maybe like on social media, posting each other's projects. I know the youth action team, and I'm pretty sure the youth council has an Instagram that I've seen. So posting each other's like new projects. I'm trying to think in general. I don't know if there's any project we could collaborate. I mean, this is for my project. If you know anyone who would like to be a mentor for the Wakefield Amigos program, they can reach out to me or Mr. Nevada or Ms. Pacheco. And I don't know, it's just a great opportunity for high school students. And maybe on our new nutrition programs and always mental health stuff, there's always a lot of room for collaboration.
Yeah, that definitely sounds great, and I'd definitely like to look into that more with the youth action team too. Yeah, do you want to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, and further down, we're debriefing the bike valet, and that was something the youth action team and the youth council collaborated on this year. So it was good because we needed to field hundreds of volunteer hours this summer. So that was a great collaboration. And just a reminder, I know Sienna talked about the growing flowers and shrinking negative weeds. The youth action team is really focused on like health and wellness. Like that's their primary goal. So they talk about the growing the positive flowers. We know when youth are connected to things, when they have good relationships, they have trusted adults, they have positive role models around them, they make better decisions. And then when they talk about shrinking negative weeds, it's declining those risky behaviors like bullying or vaping or underage drinking. So shrinking those negative behaviors. So that's where that's what the youth action team is really focused on. And sometimes people get a little confused, but those are their primary goals. So when we come up with things that are in that health and wellness and mental health realm, we want to be tapping into the youth action team and their clubs, because I think your clubs, you have well over 50 or 60 Wakefield youth participating in those clubs too. So that's a great place to recruit Snow Angels volunteers or other other things where we need youth to help.
Yeah, and definitely with Snow Angels too, since we're going to be talking about that later on the agenda. Definitely collaborating further on that with volunteers, and a project that I think that we are now pursuing that I think relates heavily to what you guys are talking about is that we're looking to more engaged with school culture, since we've discussed this with our civics engagement coordinator, Mr. Collins from the Galvin, who's seen that some teachers, they don't necessarily feel as though they have the best toolkit almost to handle bullying sometimes, and they're looking for better ways from the students on how to combat bullying and create a more positive school culture to prevent bullying across the Galvin and the high school, and also with cyberbullying as well, to then decrease mental health issues and substance abuse and self-harm rates. So I think that all goes together with what we're discussing. So I think that that's definitely something to keep in mind as we continue to work together on different stuff. So does anyone have anything else that they'd like to say?
Yeah, you mentioned that with the anti-vaping initiative, you're focusing on parents as well as students. What does that entail?
So we aren't quite sure yet because the project isn't like fully developed. But I think like having different either social media posts, presentations that are more sent to parents in a way that it's informative to them, but also not like, I don't know, like telling them like this is wrong, this is why, like it's more in an informative way for the parents so that they can help their students if they or their children if they find that out that their children are like vaping or interacting with substances that they shouldn't be.
All right, thank you.
Does anyone have anything else that they'd like to say? All right. Yep. Thank you very much for coming. I'll definitely be in touch as we continue to discuss different projects that we're both collectively working on. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. All right. So with that, the next item on our agenda is actually the School Culture and Bullying Prevention Initiative that we've discussed. So Mr. Collins is unfortunately not here today. However,
Yeah, teacher conferences.
yes, yeah. And I haven't heard back from Mr. Cedrone or Miss Hart regarding the school culture survey that they've done in the past at the Galvin, which we were looking to use as sort of the foundation for our work on this. So definitely looking forward to that and reaching out again potentially to try to get their input on it. And just to like round up what we're necessarily trying to do with this initiative would be to really provide opportunities for students to give better strategies to teachers and students alike to counter bullying in a more meaningful way, and methods to create a better school culture, because a better school culture really works hand in hand with preventing those bullying rates, which then therefore works with mental health across the board with the Galvin and the high school. And then also providing opportunities for youth to reflect on how school culture has perhaps affected them and how their experiences in the school have related to bullying potentially, to really get a more up close view on how to really tackle this issue. So.
Okay, so thinking about that, like thinking about the youth council as a body that advises and maybe not doing programming.
Yeah.
Thinking about how can you be influential on this topic, and it sounds like what you're saying, Ollie, is that you think you could help get more information from youth and communicate that to policymakers, like maybe by like additional surveys or focus groups. But one of the things too is like it's really important to get some more information about what is currently being done.
Exactly. Yeah.
So maybe we can hear from around the positive school culture team at the Galvin at the next meeting. And then I'd also be interested to hear what this Unite program looks like and some of the other strategies. I think would be helpful for you all to hear what they're planning on doing at the high school. So you can have an idea of you saw the data last meeting, then you can kind of look at, okay, what are some of the strategies being done right now? And then what else is missing from that? Like it sounds like it's the student perspective, getting more of the student perspective, because what we always say is that YRBS is what we call quantitative data, but we might want a little more qualitative data by having conversations with youth about how, when they hear someone make a racist comment or they see something, how that impacts their learning day or their school environment. So I think that's an important role that the youth council could take.
Yeah. I definitely agree, and definitely making sure that we have like all the encompassing information to really make this as impactful as possible with the information gathering. And as you said, relaying this to the actual policymakers of the town, but such as the school committee, which would help with the policy aspect of this. So definitely looking towards that and trying to get, as you said, the positive school culture team to hopefully present or at least discuss with us at our next meeting. So does anyone have anything that they'd like to say on this?
I mean, just really quick comment. I think after like Unite, like leaders have been chosen, and also they mentioned the Wakefield amigos too. We could always invite them over here along with the youth action team again to just kind of speak on the matter to gain more information.
All right. So next on our agenda is the Snow Angel shoveling program for this year. So we were looking to get this started soon. So as the weather's getting colder. So Juliana, do you want to talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, so I'm assuming we're just going to use the same flyers as last year, probably the same system. Did seniors get a chance to sign up for like shoveling at that event?
Yeah, we didn't have anyone that was interested. We didn't have anyone sign up at that event,
Okay.
but so James, maybe we can, with you, me, and Juliana, can one of you guys can update the senior sign up flyer? I mean, I have it, and talk to Karen Burke about if seniors have already started signing up, so that so you know how many volunteers you're going to have to recruit. So I can start an email with all of you today. So we can move that forward as far as the senior sign up goes.
Honestly, I haven't done much on Snow Angels yet because it's been so warm, and I keep forgetting that it can actually snow in November.
I know we don't want to have yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But yeah, you never know. We could have a December snowstorm, so we probably want to start recruiting volunteers starting now.
Yep. And once that information has been updated to reflect the current year and the current strategies, we can definitely start posting it on social media and our other avenues such as the newspaper and the high school and middle school as morning announcements to definitely get as many youth volunteers as well as senior applicants as well.
So is it a Google form that they fill out?
Yes.
So do you just need to update the Google form?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll update the flyer and the Google form to say the right years.
Okay.
And I'll send it over to you.
Okay. All right. That's great. Because I think Madeline and the social and the communications team can put together a press release and I think we even have press releases from last year that could be used. But we do actually, the senior recruitment flyer is updated. So I'm going to attach it.
So yeah, and that you can also send that to me. So to make sure, because I think that Madeline's been having some problems posting on some of our social media pages. So definitely getting that up. So does anyone else have anything that they'd like to say on Snow Angels? Yeah.
Just curious from the sort of senior sign up perspective, is there any thought to doing a hard copy flyer and distributing in sort of neighborhoods?
To get the seniors to sign up?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think last year it was in like the senior center, like a pamphlet newsletter thing that they received. So I think a lot of people found out that way.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I think the article in the paper also helped. I mean, we didn't have a problem recruiting seniors.
Okay.
That wasn't our challenge.
That's what I thought when I heard the sign up about the senior event. I wasn't sure if there was an issue signing up seniors.
Oh, yeah. For some reason at that event, they weren't that, but they had people in mind that they thought could qualify. This year, we're also going to be a little more, strict about who qualifies for the senior program, because it's really someone that can't do it on their own.
Right.
And not that needs their something shuffled so they can get to work. So we just want to make sure that we're clear on that, because it is a lot for the youth to have to then get, go sometimes 10 minutes, 10-minute walk in the snowstorm to go shuffle something. So, but that is a good point. Like with the paper flyer, sometimes that is a good way to reach that.
Yeah, and has there been any further discussion on potentially implementing like a buddy system to kind of help with that, like to make people more comfortable if they're maybe absent or?
Yeah, Juliana, maybe that's something. I think that was a good idea. So
Yeah.
we can communicate that in the flyer.
I think last year we just said, if you have a friend that you can trust, then like make sure they're close by if you're not available. But
Yeah,
the
so
buddy
maybe you
system
can
is
say,
good.
if you don't, let us know and we'll
Yeah.
match you with someone.
Yeah, so that way people feel more comfortable if they're unable to if they know that they're going to be on vacation for a time and then they don't feel comfortable signing up, but then they'll feel more comfortable if they know that they have someone as a backup. So I think that that's definitely great. So if there's nothing else on this, to go on to the next agenda item. So we have the farmers market bike valet debrief. So Juliana, would you like to debrief a little bit on this? Because this was definitely a great project that we did this summer and fall.
Yeah, a lot of people utilized the bike valet this year. A lot of bikes, but also a lot of scooters and a couple of strollers. However, I think mostly but we need to work on a better way to get volunteers, because a lot of the time it was me and my dad down at the bike valet, or Reese or Nick, or just someone's parent, or Alexis Manzi. So I think we need to work on pushing it out more, either on social media or maybe you. Ollie, did you put something in the paper about it?
I think so. Yeah,
remember
we did. Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think
raise your hand if you were able to help with the bike ballet. Yeah, a lot of you guys did it.
yeah, thank you for your help.
Yeah.
I think we just need to work on pushing it out more. And this was the first year, so obviously people don't know about it. I think it'll be better next year when it's more widespread. But it didn't fail this year, so it went pretty well.
No, it's just it's a lot. It's a lot of hours. Do people have thoughts about other potential partners or groups or that can make getting the volunteers a little easier? Because a lot of the hours are in the middle of the summer, so it's not like we have people you can grab at school. If we have to decide if we want to take on, if the youth council wants to take on this project, Juliana's going to be off of college next year, so can't rely on her.
I know we tried to connect with the youth council a little bit more on that.
Youth action team.
Sorry,
No,
yeah, sorry.
they
The youth
actually
action
staffed it a lot.
Yeah, they did, but I just think it'd be better if they also pushed it out there a little bit more.
Yeah, Erin?
It was also something that was told to members of National Honor Society at the high school, so it was a summer volunteer hour opportunity for us to do.
That's great. Yes, that was good collaboration.
We also, it might help if maybe we started to talk more about the bike valet, maybe towards the end of school, so that school it can spread more the information about it. So you could get in touch with the youth action, or I think the youth action team also does this, but we could talk to them to try and maybe put it in at least for the Galvin news flush, or in the announcements, something like that, just to get it out there.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a great idea, especially talking about it at the end of school before summer starts, since that's an easier opportunity to reach more youth about volunteering with it. So, yeah, Mr. Ingles.
You might think about maybe communicating with the Boys and Girls Club, just because there's a program that runs continually through the summer, and so might be a way to sort of communicate with families outside of school.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a great idea, especially that's like a large youth volunteer thing that we could tap into. I think that's definitely a great idea to keep in mind for it.
And they have a really good newsletter too that goes out to hundreds and hundreds of Wakefield families. So a lot of times it's a parent saying, "Oh, here's a volunteer."
Definitely trying to get it into more of those newsletters and like Nathaniel said with the bathroom buzz too. Definitely more opportunities to get it in print out to people. I think that's great. Do we have anything else on this? So I definitely would. So as we get closer to the springtime next year, as we start to discuss this a little bit more, definitely talking, like bringing these strategies again, to start working towards getting that volunteer network out there. So I think that's definitely good to consider.
And we're also going to need two people to take it on, one youth action team and one youth council member, because
Yep.
Juliana created the sign up genius, was kind of monitoring it every week, and that it's a lot of work, but it would be a great project for somebody here if you're interested.
Someone to lead that, yeah, definitely. So if there's nothing else on this, next on our agenda is supporting Wakefield veterans. So this Saturday, yes, is Veterans Day. So normally we do our Veterans Day cleanup, but this year we're unfortunately unable to run this event due to the logistics of it. So I reached out to Paul. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but from the Veterans Advisory Board.
Paul C.
Yeah. And so I communicated with him about different ways that we could help to support veterans across Wakefield, still, even though we're not doing our regular event. And so he had a lot of great insight as to this, and he discussed this with David Mangan as well, who's the veterans agent. And so he brought up how Veterans Day this year, the theme is service, which relates to the Army core value of selfless service. And definitely we can work towards highlighting and promoting this throughout the schools and our social media pages, definitely making sure that people are keeping this in mind and kind of reflecting this in their day-to-day activities on Veterans Day and beyond that, because veterans do form an integral part of the work that we do as a youth council, as they're so significant to keeping our lives so safe. So I feel like it's definitely important to keep this in mind as we move forward. And then so another thing that he talked about, which actually relates to something that we've discussed in the past, is growing youth council involvement and supporting individuals who are seeking to serve in the armed forces. I know that we've discussed in the past potentially getting a veteran or several veterans to speak with students that are interested in this, and potentially speaking to different social studies classes or history classes at the high school to try to increase that first person interaction with veterans for those individuals who are interested in seeking to serve. And he brought up a Wakefield resident who's now leading in the armed forces and supporting people that wish to pursue that path. So I think that's really important for us to work with. And I spoke with him and definitely working towards that in the future. So and then he also gave us certain events that we can definitely collaborate with the Veterans Board in the future, such as their wreath laying event in December and the Fort Chaplain's Day in February, and their Memorial Day flagging event, which we've helped them with in the past with as well. So definitely different things to consider.
What day is the wreath? Because that would be a really good thing for youth council to help recruit volunteers
Definitely.
for.
That's December 16th at the Forest Glade Cemetery. So I think that's definitely something that we can help them to promote and get volunteers for that.
It'd be nice to have a good youth council presence at that.
So I know that I forget what time it was exactly, but I forget the name of the assembly. But they used to I think almost like shout out or like honor people from the high school that were entering the armed forces after like as soon as they left high school. And that would also be a good time to mention like a program where veterans would meet with students or anything of the sort.
I think that definitely pursuing that. I think that's at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So potentially doing some stuff before that too for
Yeah,
those
'cause
individuals interested.
I happen to know some seniors that are thinking about the armed forces, and I'm sure there are ways to connect them to alumni, but yeah, it'd be something that you guys can discuss with the veterans.
And even some individuals who may be considering it or maybe haven't acknowledged it or like pursued it in a way, providing them with more opportunities to connect with those individuals in the armed forces to allow them to become more acquainted with what it entails and different ways that they can be supported in that. So I think that's really important. So I'm going to be in touch with Paul to work towards that.
Well, do you have a guidance counselor at the high school that is kind of the point person on either military academies or forces?
I'm not sure. I think it might be Mr. McKenna. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know Mr. McKenna was
He was in
in the military.
Yeah,
So
yeah. He has served in the armed forces before, so he might be the point person on
I
that.
think that it's worth a conversation with him as well,
Yeah.
because to find out is there anything way the youth council could support or understanding what's already being done and
Yeah.
what could be done.
Yeah, definitely. I'll reach out to him and I'll copy you on that as well. So, um, is there any more discussion as to supporting Wakefield veterans and potentially helping?
Do you know if there's like a flyer already made for the replaying? Because we could also post that on our social media.
I'll reach out to Paul about that to see if there is one, and then if there isn't, we can help to make one for them and to post on our social media pages.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because you guys could help make the flyer if you have a lot of good graphic designers.
I know that being on the youth council, my flyer skills have definitely increased, like with Canva. So I think that's definitely a great thing. Is there anything else that anyone would like to say on this? So our next item is I wanted to quickly discuss Open Town Meeting, which is taking place on November 18th at 8 a.m. at the Galvin. So me and Madeline have discussed this to promote on our social media pages to really invite the youth of Wakefield to come speak at this, because though we can't actually vote on the different aspects that they are planning to be voted on, we can still make our voices heard and definitely push for a seat at the table for us, even though we can't actually vote. So I just wanted to briefly talk about some of the stuff that they're going to be voted on. Some of the
And what day is town meeting?
November 18th at the Galvin. So they're voting on the fiscal year 23 budget report from the past fiscal year. Several other issues talking about negotiations and such, as well as, and I know Julie Smith Galvin highlighted this at our last meeting, the new town energy code, which is really pushing towards energy efficiency. And I also discussed this with my liaison, Steve Mayo. So I think that that's definitely, if anyone's interested in doing that, definitely consider going and speaking there. And we're going to also be putting the town meeting book, which kind of details the procedure and what they're going to be voting on our social media pages as well, and just the different resources for individuals that are interested in that. Does anyone have any things that they'd like to say?
I was just gonna mention that as a student rep and as a member of the youth council, I'll probably be there. Just like taking notes, like trying to figure out a way to update both groups. So
So next on our agenda is our liaison spotlight. Nathaniel, he's going to be giving us a presentation on his liaison, the Environmental Sustainability Committee. So,
All right, thank you. All right, so my liaison is my liaison position is the Environmental Sustainability Committee. So the ESC is a committee responsible for making Wakefield sustainable in terms of energy and recycling, composting, different projects, and they talk about things such as recently the new energy code, recycling more and composting more. Then town projects like cleanups and more. And current chair is Melissa Houston. After conversations, me and Melissa mainly talked about restarting recycling at the Wakefield Public Schools. So I myself am focusing on Galvin, and I'm working with the school administration, trying to find a faculty member to establish a club focused on restarting recycling through spreading the word on its importance, getting in touch with the WPS administration, and anyone else who might be able to help to restart this program. And I have a small list of items that can be recycled and composted. So any food items we can compost, plastic cups, water bottles, and clamshells are all recyclable. And yeah, so we'll probably be discussing this once the club gets up and running. We'll probably be discussing some other items to add to this. And then for youth council connections, for middle school members, participation in the upcoming recycling club would be nice. And the youth council communications and outreach subcommittee can spread the word for youth who want to restart recycling in schools.
Thank you very much. That was a great presentation. So I think that it's really great discussing with the energy code and the recycling program
Yeah.
that you're looking to restart at the Galvin, because I know that when I started at the Galvin, they did have a recycling program there that when by the time I think I got to 7th grade that was no longer in effect anymore.
Yeah, I think Melissa said that COVID sort of brought that down.
Yeah.
So they're trying to restart it.
So is anything recycled at the Galvin right now?
So my main focus is the cafeteria because most classrooms have like paper recycling, but with the cafeteria, there is just a bunch of trash bins. There's no sorting whatsoever. So something that I think we should probably work on, that the school and the club too should work on, is really getting like recycling bins and composting bins and really getting education on what can be recycled, what has to be thrown away, what can be composted, just so we can make the school cleaner and sustainable.
And so all everything right now in the cafeteria is being put in the waste bins.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Galvin does have those, like, it built into the wall, like the recycling
It does.
things,
Yeah.
but they've been covered up, I know.
They
right?
have.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one really uses them.
Yeah, because it's not really managed or maintained. So I think that that's definitely important to bring back with this recycling program. I don't know how far you've gotten into this, but definitely someone to consider reaching out to would be the recycling club at the high school to see how they've been working with this. I know that they don't have like that stuff at the cafeteria like like the Galvin does, and I don't think that much recycling happens at the high school either with the cafeteria especially.
As president of the recycling club at the high school, we did attempt to have bins out for recycling in the cafeteria, but it did not go very successfully because most of those bins were just filled with trash. So I would stress the idea of education in both high school and middle school for cafeteria recycling.
Yeah, I talked to Mr. Tetrault, and right now I'm in the process of trying to find an adult to facilitate it, to help facilitate it. So we can, so yeah, I think we'll probably do some education, maybe presentations at an assembly or something like that. And then, and yeah, really get in touch with,
Have you met with Mr. O'Brien yet? Who's the facilities?
I don't think I have.
Okay. I can reach out to you and Mr. Collins
Okay.
and also with school leadership talk about the next steps. This is very admirable, and
Yeah. I agree.
it still makes me, it's frustrating to hear that so much is going in the landfills.
Yeah, especially since the Galvin has kind of like that infrastructure already like built in place. I think that the education component is really important too, to make sure that people understand why it's so important and how like do it responsibly and actually contribute to these different programs to really create a more sustainable school. So I think that's really important for us to continue to do to work forward. So I definitely think that, like Catherine said, reaching out with Mr. O'Brien.
But in talking to William too,
Yeah.
because so you had the recycling out and they were still putting everything, mixing it all up.
Yeah, they were mostly dumping trash within the recycling bins, even though there were labels and some signs up, but it was not very successful, and we ended up actually moving the bins out of the caf because they mostly just had food and other waste products.
I think that that's really important to understand why that kind of happened with the education component of it too. Definitely working with William to see what's worked and what hasn't worked in the
Okay.
past to try to help out. Oh yeah, Olivia.
To go back to what you were saying earlier about with how the Galvin has the recycling things, I think that if those were to get opened up, like a helpful thing would be to include like even a piece of paper above each of them saying, because I know that there's like 6 different ones saying like these go in here, because I know, like, when I first saw them when I was in 4th grade, my mom was like, "You're not going to be able to figure that out." So, like, and then obviously they were closed, but I think that would be, if they are to get open up, then it would be very helpful.
That's a really good. I noticed that at Chipotle. I get there and I'm like, okay, it's telling you what goes
Yeah,
in.
which-
This goes in this, and
Yeah, to help people feel more comfortable with like maintaining it too.
I was also gonna say that in terms of education at the high school, you could definitely look into getting one of the extended homeroom blocks to kind of devote to that. There's probably gonna be some open in March or April. So potentially using one of those blocks if all this gets set up beforehand to talk to implement it that same day so that students get to see it right after their education.
And I think that working with William on the recycling club too that's a great opportunity to really further the educational aspect of it to really help people to actually do this responsibly and meaningfully too. And I know that you put it in your presentation potentially working with the communications and outreach subcommittee. So I think that that's a great next step to working once you come to the discussions with Mr. Tetrell and Mr. O'Brien, taking that forward with the subcommittee too to try to help further this along.
so there's not a recycling club at at the middle school, but that's your goal is to get an advisor and
Yeah.
get one set
Yeah,
up.
that's what I'm working on right now.
Okay.
And then, then we'll be able to discuss
Yeah.
next steps and communications and yeah.
The other person to put you in touch with is Miss Burdick, the director of Wakefield Academy, because she can sometimes has the budget to hire the advisors to for clubs.
Yeah.
So that would be, good work.
Yeah, great work, definitely. Yeah, Mr. Ingalls.
Yeah. So in regards to two things you talked about, sort of recycle, and you also mentioned compost.
Yes.
So for recycle, Tim O'Brien would be the person to get in touch with that. The other Mr. O'Brien, Dustin O'Brien, who's our food service director, would be an ally in compost and also food rescue. And those are kind of tangential. So if you wanted to sort of put them in your communication string, yeah, they'd be sort of good people to have. And I know
Some of our schools do food rescue.
they do. Yeah, it takes a lot of it happens at the elementary levels. It takes a lot of sort of parental involvement or at least community involvement because there isn't necessarily the time in the day for educators to sort of help with that or even food service staff to help with that. If you can find like a key sort of parent volunteer to come in and sort of offer to championship that, I think that's where we've seen a lot of success. And those people are out there. Sometimes they don't even know that there's the need. So I'm sure you'll probably do a great job sort of communicating that out. So I know that's one of the pitfalls. In terms, I like the idea of doing a list if they opened up those bins. I personally am a visual person, so I think to take that the next step would be like to tape up like examples of what that thing is, and that can even for some kids the words would be sort of off-putting. Like I'm not going to read that. I'll throw it over here. But great idea. Then to the high school to stop kids from throwing trash in. If you ever go in a city, you'll see that they have bins, but they have certain shapes cut out. So you're not necessarily, if you see like a round circle, you're more apt to throw a can and a bottle in that than to put it in the trash. And you also can't put a tray in like that size hole.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I believe the ones that we put there have cutouts, like circle cutouts in the bins, but people were just lifting the bin up.
okay, well,
So
admirable effort.
are plastic water bottles at least getting recycled at the high school?
Within classrooms, yes, sometimes, but not really in the cafeteria.
Another option in the cafeteria for maybe like the first week or two, if we ever initiate the program, is to maybe have an adult stand near the bin or a somewhat like presence there to make sure that people don't just throw away trash. It's not the ideal manner of which to proceed with this, but if it's really that big of an issue, then that might be the only way to deal with that issue.
They're definitely trying to strike that balance between making it like people conducive to recycling while also not making it like almost like difficult or like making it more like adding more hardship to people's day to try to recycle, trying to make it as like weaving it into people's daily life as easily as possible to try to make that sustainability like more meaningful too. So I know that's definitely good things to work forward to with you, Nathaniel, and then with William too. think that's great to definitely consider working on going forward, and definitely keep us posted on that.
All right. Yeah,
So-
thank you. I will.
Yeah, and you can also think on like the flip side of like what kind of incentive programs could there be recycle receptacles per grade, and the grade that gets the most recycles the most gets something, wins something, or um, has like a recess at the Calvin or something like fun.
Yeah. Something like
Yeah,
that.
so the kind of the thinking both reward at the beginning too.
Yeah, and I think that's great to try to like really like instill it in them, and then they continue doing it after the project too. After the like the incentive as well. Try to like create that like to start it and then to continue that on. I think that's really great. So yeah, thank you. Is there anything else that anyone would like to talk about with this? So next, we just have general liaison updates. So does anyone have any updates from their liaisons? Yeah, Annabelle?
So I met with my liaison yesterday, and we discussed like sort of the library's plan for developing a plan to get a financial grant that they would use the grant for. So it's a little bit circular, but they've hired somebody to like help them develop this plan that will benefit the library and all of its users. But unfortunately, I think she injured her eye, and we haven't been able to get in good contact with them. So we're waiting on that. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's definitely good to keep us posted with as well, as to the financial grant plan for them. So I think that's great. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to? Yeah, Juliana.
So last night, Catherine and I met with Sarah, who is the outreach coordinator for Safe Routes to School. They're partnered with MassDOT, and their goal is to just get as many people to walk, bike, or roll to school as they can, just to reduce carbon emissions or congestion in the morning. And she shared some information about their high school ambassador program with us. Maggie Fournier, who's a junior, is already a high school ambassador for Safe Routes to School. In that you can become an ambassador, and you would be able to run events like a bike rodeo, or just like an event at a middle school and elementary school to inform kids of pedestrian safety and bike safety. And it works on a point system. I believe she said 15 points gets.
Yeah, I mean, what we can do is we can send the description of the
Yeah,
ambassador
I can-
program.
She sent us a flyer. I can send that flyer to
Could-
Ali.
That would be great. And also to send it to the guidance department, because there might be high schoolers that are interested, because it actually would be a really good opportunity for anyone that's interested in going into civil engineering to understand like they do a lot with kind of assessing routes to school and things like that. So it's not only the fun educational stuff, it's really kind of looking at our built environment and what encourages people to walk and ride their bikes to school. And we actually a few years ago had some youth do some of those audits of the Galvin and of the Woodville. So we want to continue that work, but anyone that's interested in that type of thing, it'd be a great opportunity.
So they're looking for us to promote their ambassador program, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that definitely sounds something great to continue to work with. We can also talk about this at the next communications outreach subcommittee meeting to try to start posting about this on our social
Yeah, you
media
could post
pages.
it.
Yeah. And potentially are they looking for like a press release too in the newspaper potentially, or is it more?
I think they were more looking for just recognition within the high school and possibly the middle school, but probably just the high school.
And potentially even work to get on the morning announcements, definitely to increase people's awareness of it too, to make it more likely that people sign up
Yeah.
for it.
Their point person is Mr. Robertson in guidance,
Okay.
so I was just gonna go to him and ask him about the flyers.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, yeah, that's definitely something that we'll continue to discuss too, to promote that. So, yeah.
And actually, quickly wanted to update. I'm the liaison to the school committee, and I know I wasn't here last meeting, but I think two of the bigger issues in the school committee meetings for the past couple times, like the general topics for up for discussion, were the phone policy at the Galvin, including the honor system that might have been that might be implicated there, and that kind of ties in with the policy subcommittee of the school committee because they also had discussions regarding policy surrounding that policy, surrounding the phone policy. Language surrounding the phone policy. And I think another main topic was teacher negotiations of their contracts, which was also touched upon. I know I wasn't personally at the last school committee meeting because we were on a rotational basis, but I will be in the next. So I'll also be updating the council about that.
So, what is the new information regarding Yonder specifically? So, are they moving forward with that, with the language with that, or is it still in the working phase of it?
So I think in the October 10th meeting, they motioned to approve some new language regarding cell phone policy, if I'm correct. I don't know if Mr. Ingles.
Yeah, sure. So there was just support. There's not necessarily a policy around sort of cell phone. It more resides in the handbook. It's not a policy. Policy is that cell phone usage should pretty much be restricted in classrooms, and safe digital use policies. So you might have a phone, but you don't necessarily bring it into the bathroom or to locker rooms or things like that. But I think in terms of to talk about the Yonder sort of implementation specifically, I think the rollout was going to be at the beginning of November. I think that was pushed out till after Thanksgiving break, but it is effectively going to take place amongst all of the sort of the Galvin students, and there'll be more communication from Galvin administration surrounding that. I think there has been communication at least to families through the Galvin newsletter. But as it stands now, it was pushed from the beginning of November till after the Thanksgiving break.
I think there was a lot of conflict in regards to that Yonder system. You know, the first meeting that it was discussed in, both school committee members and parents had a lot of discussion regarding it. Really, just a lot of the details about it, which I think was also another reason why it was pushed back.
Yeah, it's definitely great to know now with the Yonder pouches, since that's something that will affect the public health especially. So, and with teacher negotiations that you discussed, I know that some of the projects that we've actually been working on, like the later school start times, have kind of been intertwined with some of the teacher negotiations. So, do you have
Has it? No.
yeah, okay.
It's, I mean,
Maybe that was a myth out there.
Yeah, I don't mean to say that teachers will be part of the discussion, as will parents, as will buses, as will other community members, as well school start times, if they do get adjusted, if or when they do get adjusted, it's one of those cascading things. It's not just one small piece. It reverberates in a whole host of different places in our community, sports, after school clubs, other towns, how, when we schedule our games or our clubs with them. So there's still information that needs to be gathered. I think we're on the right path. We're in the right direction. And we do see that there is a future where that's going to be implemented. But we need to sort of get more information from the parties that are affected. It's part of town government. Like, you can't just, as you know, can't just say we're going to do this and then it happens. You need to collect information from the impacted parties and sort of find out ways to mitigate risks and pain points before we sort of go forward with it. So I think we're also collecting information from other surrounding districts, finding what's been a challenge and what's been successful for other groups.
Is there anything that you would be helpful for the youth council to do as far as gathering information or anything that would be
I think when it
helpful?
comes time to sort of collect some of that information, to have like community forums and stuff, students should be a part of that discussion. I think sort of helping with communication would be great.
Yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind as that process comes closer. And so, is that currently in the current negotiation process?
No, it's just not, it's not something that's enshrined in a contract. It's
Yeah.
a different, it's a
Okay.
different part, but
It's a different part.
teachers will be part of the process.
Okay, that's good.
Absolutely. Yeah. With that, I need to jump because my kid has a conference in like 5 minutes.
Oh, yes.
All right, thank you very much for
Thank
all
you
your
so much.
insights. I appreciate it.
Great to see everyone in person.
So does anyone else have any other liaison updates? All right, so seeing none. Next is communications and outreach subcommittee updates. So Madeline could not be here today. So what we discussed at the last meeting were the Meet the Members posts are now going up. The first two went up this week. Myself and Vanessa are now on our social media pages. And if you have not filled out the form yet, please do so. And then the other thing that we discussed was the a press release to open up the current youth council terms and to kind of display what we've been working on. So I've been a little bit delayed on that. So hopefully I'll be getting that to you by the end of today, Catherine. With the half day, I have a little bit more extra time to work on that. So yeah, that'll hopefully be going out very soon. And so I think that that's all that I have for communications and outreach. So now with announcements, I don't have any like specific announcements, but I just wanted to briefly bring up Vanessa. I know that a couple meetings ago we discussed the training active bystanders with the Human Rights Commission. Has there been any updates on that?
I haven't really heard that much. I'll definitely reach out again.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. So, are there any other announcements that anyone has that were not previously covered? So, as to our next meeting date, that'll probably be sometime after Thanksgiving, sometime that week via Zoom, since that'll be our next remote meeting. Because I believe the next half day is it, Catherine, do you know, is it December 6th or December 13th, the next half day?
I don't even have their
I
calendar.
think it's the 6th, December 6th.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
we can meet then.
Yeah, so that'll probably be
Our next
our
meeting.
next meeting, yeah. Because Thanksgiving kind of throws it off in between then. So there'll probably be a communications and outreach subcommittee meeting in between that time. And I'm hoping to send out an actual like formal survey for those interested in being a part of the communications and outreach subcommittee to kind of get that subcommittee membership down, to know who to continue to contact with that. So definitely keep an eye out for that and my further emails and Catherine's as well. So with that, if there's no other business that anyone has to discuss, do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, yep.
So this is in regards to the two girls who presented
Oh, yeah.
on the tree plenish last time. So I had some talks with them and with the ESC. I think that I was originally thinking that maybe the ESC, because this is an environmental thing, that the ESC could help. So then Melissa said that this is more of the DPW's in business. But then what I could do is, so I am not part of the communications and outreach subcommittee, but the two high school girls said that the communications and outreach subcommittee could be good to increase awareness for this project. So I can come to the next meeting, or I can just or I can just keep the subcommittee in contact with the high schoolers. Yeah, whatever works.
Yes. Yeah, whatever works out, because the subcommittee is open to anyone who's interested. So
Okay.
yeah, definitely if you'd like to come
Okay.
and invite them to the next meeting, which will probably be coming down. We'll probably have that meeting date soon.
Yeah, and I did follow up with DPW, and I on their behalf just to find out if there were opportunities to plant trees in any locations anytime soon, and there aren't any, but they said it would be really impactful if they could give out sapling for people to plant in their own yards and within Wakefield, because it is contributing to the increase in trees in our community. So that would be something that it's great that Nathaniel, if you could join the
Yeah.
communication subcommittee, is find out from that team at the high school when they're planning on offering the saplings and then how to communicate it.
Okay.
And I think that'd be great to go a little bit more in depth into the project and what exactly they're like looking for from us. So yeah, that's great. Thank you for that update. I'll be in touch with that. So is there any other business that anyone needs to discuss before we adjourn? All right. So do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll go down the roll. Yay or nay? James,
Yay.
Nathaniel,
Yay.
Annabeth,
Yay.
myself, yay. Thomas,
Yay.
William,
Yay.
Ahmed,
Yeah.
Sophia,
Yay.
Juliana,
Yay.
Olivia,
Yay.
and Vanessa.
Yay.
All right, our meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for this great meeting today, and I'll be in touch as to the items that we've discussed today going forward. So, thank you all.
Thank you.